So whenever you go into your house, don't just go inside the house. You've got to clean the bottoms of your shoes off first. You agree with me? What do you think? Always clean your shoes first. Always keep a watering can by the front steps at all times. Rub the soles of your shoes back and forth on the wet concrete. Use lots of water. Never just go in the front door. Always clean your shoes first. When you get inside and you decide to go into the bathroom, this is what you have to do. After using the toilet, you need to clean the area around the toilet. Get 2 or 3 paper towels, spray the area around the toilet with Formula 409 are fantastic. And then take care of all that dirt around the toilet. When you're done doing that, it's time to clean the doorknob on the bathroom. Be sure you do both sides. That's very important. And also the light switch. You do this with alcohol. Get 2 or 3 pieces of Kleenex. Get some damp with alcohol and wipe off the doorknob. The one on both sides of the door and the light switch. And here's something that's really important. If while you were out shopping and you stepped in some gum, you better take your shoes off before you come inside the house. And when you do, you're going to use glue gun to get the gum off your shoes. Once you've done all this, you're pretty well clean. I think we can start in with something else here now that we're nice and clean.
Did you ever think about how important it is to hear about garbage about your head to your feet? I have evil.
Hello, everybody. All right. Let me make sure everything's set up. Let's see here. Let me make sure everything's set up. Got this thing going. Don't need that going. All right. So, hi, everybody. Give me a minute here. Give me a minute here. Okay. Okay, looks like everything's working. Okay, chat is going. Let me say hi to some people and then we'll get into this. Anophis, Roger Flake, Tom Cheeky, Joanne, what's happening? Cardinal Sin, what's happening, friend? Who else we got here? Tim, of course. There's Mr. Provo, I believe. Mr. Provo, I will get with you in a second about what's a good starting point for Negativland. Great, so yeah. I'm trying to say hi to everybody here. Let me see. I think I got, oh, Sophia, hello. Phil, what's happening? Rope Snake, Ethan. Matthew Shoemaker, what's happening? John Lazaro, hello. Christy GS, yes. Rob Ginsburg in the house. H2OMC42. Hello. I forgot who you are if I knew who you are. All right, so let me just tell you, because the weatherman is going to be here, I'm sure, but we have a thunderstorm going on right now above my head. So let's hope we don't lose power. Now, a little brief introduction before we get started here. The weatherman should be clicking on the link I sent him to be invited into this chat very soon. I'm going to send another one just to make sure he got it. Give me a second here, and then I'll do a little intro for my friend David. Invite, email. Okay, boom, there we go. Boom, okay. So hopefully he'll get that. Now let me start by saying that Negativland, which started in the late 70s, changed my life when I heard them. They are what I would describe as certainly an experimental band, sound collage band, culture jamming band, socio-political statement band. You could call them industrial, I guess, but they're more of an experimental audio / visual collage sound play entity. And David Wills, the weatherman, has been an integral part of them since the beginning. Let me just take you through a little history. Real briefly, here's just some records I pulled out of my collection. This one here came out in 1980. It's the first one. It had a handmade cover, magazine ads cut out and glued to it, wallpaper sample on the other side. Had a lot of cool inserts in it and stuff. And this one just happens to be numbered 1 million for me, for Junior Pilmer, number 1 million that Mark Hostler did for me special. But obviously, there's probably not a million of those. Here's another record they put out called Points. And these are all like, I guess, starting 1980. They go through the 80s. Here's Negativland, Big 10-8 Place. Cool record there with bumper sticker. 1980 through, last year was their most recent album. This is Helter Stupid. Great record. And this is the one I started with right here, 1987, Negativland, Escape from Noise. The first Negativland record I ever heard. Brilliant stuff. I've often described it as Negativland's first pop album. It's actually more song structured and oh, there's David. Okay, we'll let him in soon. It's more, song structures, more kind of like a pop feel, but still real noisy and bizarre. Love it. Here is the infamous U2 cover, which they got in a bunch of trouble for. There's an SST bumper sticker there and some other stuff. And then Mark Hostler drew Bono on the cover for me. And then here's their Guns EP, came out after that. This is their latest album, True False, just came out last year. Great stuff. They're still very prolific and active. They've been a touring band in the past. Again, very active in a number of ways. They had a radio show for many, many, many years. And the way I kind of met them was because I had a band called Silica Gel in North Carolina. We released a CD in 1993, which was very kind of sound play, experimental noise oriented. We contacted them, sent them a copy of it. Right when it came out, we contacted them, probably in 1992 or 93. And after we had already pressed it, released it on our own label, they agreed to distribute it for us. So there's the Sealand barcode that we added to the CD after they started distributing it for us. They were very kind to do that. In 2016, that album was reissued on a double vinyl deluxe set, has a bunch of bonus tracks, live stuff, demos. So that was really cool. That was a dream come true for me. Now, David Wills, what you were hearing, if you could hear it all, what I was playing before as an intro to this show is this really hard to find tape. It's Personal Hygiene and Beautification with Weatherman and Silica Gel. This is a radio show we did on WX, I believe it was WXDU. It was the radio station in Chapel Hill. There's the cassette. It came with a moist towelette, of course, and it's all about cleaning the dirt and making noise. Very hard to find release there. Now, Negativland did a whole bunch of other albums, including these two radio station albums, radio show albums that feature David Wills very prominently. The Willsophone Stupid Show right here, and the Dumb Stupid Come Out Line CD right here. Interesting stuff. Live calls to the radio show in these things, noise mixed in. Really great stuff. Here's some other ones I just pulled out randomly, other CDs. Negativland's Free album, Negativland's Dyspepsy album, more radio shows, Crosley Bendix show. It goes on and on. There's so much stuff, and this isn't even all of their releases. I just picked a few to show you. So David is a real character, and you're gonna see that. Now he was here a minute ago, and now he's gone. Oh my goodness! I bet you he's having some technical difficulties. Let's see if we can invite him again. He was there waiting. I saw him, and then he's gone. So let's see if we can do this again. Okay. So basically, that's my little history with David. We hooked up with them in the mid '90s. I did a little tour with Mark Hostler. It was Mark Hostler of Negativland with Wiffle Fist's Repetophile, which Repetophile was a noise band that we had back in the day, a bunch of tape loops, skipping records, stuff like that. And we went on tour with Mark Hostler, and we did Negativland songs. We did some of our own stuff. It was really fun. Up and down the East Coast, I believe that was 1995 or 96. So now, I'm not reading the chat right now. Pardon me for not doing that. I'm just trying to get through this intro and get David on the screen here. Now, next time he pops up, I'll just go ahead and add him. But for now, let me get to some chat questions. Thanks, everybody, for showing up, by the way. Trying to find the chat here. Here we go. Yeah, Dyspepsy is legendary. Hey, Ian, what's happening? Wow, lots of people here. Okay, so here's David. Let's welcome David Wills, the Weatherman.
Me? Now, I did something. I don't know if I ruined it, but how do I sound?
Wait a second. Say that again.
Is it that bad?
No, what did you do? It sounds fine. You sound great.
Well, there was a setting called disable audio processing, like the clamping down and the noise gating,
Yeah.
but it said only to use with a real high quality system, and I don't consider my setup a real high quality system, but maybe it is.
I think it's high quality enough, believe me. Hey, and I just wanted to let you know, David, I think just for you, the gods have made a thunderstorm happen at this moment.
Well, that means we'll probably get knocked offline, so just be prepared for that.
The rock and roll gods are with us. They're going to protect us during this one.
Now, even with all my blinds drawn, can't stop that light. That's just how
it's okay.
It is.
You had a shot. You had a shot yesterday.
Let me turn my light on.
That's better.
Any better.
That's better. And you had a shot yesterday of kind of all your equipment and then also your face.
I can just move this stuff.
Okay, great.
But I lean in, so I'm going to tilt down.
Okay. I was just telling everybody a little bit of history about Negativland, and basically
I heard some of it.
Okay, great. And basically about how I met you guys, and you guys helped us distribute our CD for Silica Gel, and that was a long time ago. And there was a few times I came out to visit you, maybe 20-something years ago out west, and we hung out a little bit. It was really fun.
Yeah, we remember that rock in Berkeley we climbed up on.
Wasn't that your weather rock?
Yes, it was. Not the famous Indian rock, but the lower one called Contra Costa Rock. That was like 3 blocks from my grammar school, from Thousand Oaks School in North Berkeley.
Yeah, I remember sitting on that rock, and you were telling us that you would watch the weather come in all the time from there. And so it's just perfect that there's a thunderstorm right now. I just can't believe it.
Well,
It's great timing.
be careful what you wish for. It may just take the whole thing out. So I'm
Okay, so
warning you.
we've got quite a few people watching right now, and
That's good.
a lot of them old school Negativland fans. A lot of them are totally new to the idea of Negativland. And
Okay.
like I told you before, I'm not going to ask you a bunch of questions just about Negativland.
I don't care. If I
Well,
don't know, I don't know. And most of the time, I probably don't know. So
That's
how's
okay. Well,
that?
the questions I'm going to ask you are going to be basically about just you personally, your history with music and noise and that kind of thing. And so let me just start with one question I always
Okay.
ask
Go
everybody
ahead.
this. I ask everybody that's on my show this. What was your first memory of music and or liking music or gravitating towards music?
It was probably when my family and I were still living in Berkeley, and they have a Victrola, and I started playing the 78 RPM records, and there was a few that I liked especially well, and I got so excited about it. I wanted to be like the Addams Family, which was on TV, I think in 1964. We were
I
still
remember.
in Berkeley then, and the butler Lurch had 78 RPM records of harpsichord music, so I wanted my mother to buy me some harpsichord music.
Wow.
So she went into downtown Berkeley. She might have even gone to, well, I don't know if Rather Ripped was around in 1964, but she bought a record. But here's the problem, it was a 12-inch LP record, and I ruined it by playing it on the Victrola. The needle went almost through the record. I was
I bet
able
you
to,
it made a great noise, I bet.
yes, it did. I still have the record.
Did you record the noise?
It's noise because it ripped up the vinyl. It scored it,
Have
like
you
it was
ever
cutting
recorded
new
that?
vinyl.
Did you record the noise that it made?
I haven't done anything with it, but maybe I ought to. I don't know.
Go back to your roots.
And here's the other thing. My mother kind of scolded me and said, "Well, oh, David, you should know better than that. You should like the Beatles." So I'll never forget that.
And most parents are probably trying to keep their kids from liking the Beatles, and
Maybe.
you know,
And right then, that's when the riots were starting at the university. And
right?
I'm just a little kid. I didn't know anything about that. And we moved to Contra Costa County before that took off.
Okay,
So
wow,
I
that's
never
great.
really got involved with that.
I see. So when did you come across rock music, or did that even phase you at all? I mean,
It really didn't. I'm going to put the
oh,
microphone there.
look at that.
I found out, well, maybe I already told you, Kraftwerk used one of these microphones.
That's
Uh,
right. And yeah, you haven't told everybody else.
Sennheiser MD21.
And tell everybody where you got that microphone.
Yeah, in fact, I just wrote a part of a blog, well, part of a Facebook post just today explaining that.
Yeah.
In the probably before, well, maybe when Negativland started in the late 70s or early 80s, Richard Lyons, my best friend and another member of Negativland who's no longer with us, found this with a tape recorder at a thrift store in Pleasant Hill.
Nice.
So,
And it still works.
yeah, that's it.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
I dropped it the other day. My big clumsy arms just tipped it over off of this little stand I made out of an old speaker. I
that's
put little
nice.
rubber grommets on it, and I found this bolt that's the right thread, and it screws right in.
That's
Made
great.
it about 20 years ago or more.
Now, maybe we should well tell everybody initially that you have a lot of weapons of choice there, and they're all analog machines,
Yeah,
right?
but I did cheat a little bit, and I don't know if we'll get to it. I brought my iPad in, and I've got it on my blog, so I could play stuff off my blog if we need to, but maybe we won't.
I like
I
the
don't.
analog. Now I'm going to show you
I
what I
do
have.
too.
I'm
Yeah,
going to show you what I have to play with. Okay, now first of all, I just have this little gun. It does that, right? That's all it does.
That's pretty. It sure sounds good.
And then
Why does it light up when it makes the noise?
because that's sexy.
Well, but is there a battery in there, or what causes that to light up?
It's magic. It's magic.
Okay. You
And
think
then,
is there a battery in there?
no, it's not. It's probably just one of those things that when it dies, right?
Okay.
Who knows? Now here is something that Mark Mothersbaugh gave me, a Devo, and if I can make
Yeah,
it work.
he made a lot of instruments like that. I think there's a video that shows his setup in LA, that round building where all the stuff is.
Mutado, right. Oh, well.
So what does that do? Is it broken? Oh, that's pretty good. Boy, that sounds good. I'm glad I turned off the audio processing.
Yeah, that's good. So now this is my favorite one, the one I'm going to show you now. You were talking about a baby room monitor when we were testing this system.
Yeah, and I tuned it in. It's very quiet again, but oh, you've actually got a receiver. Is there
Now here's
anyone
the
on it?
receiver. Now this is a circuit bent receiver that I got as a gift from some punk rock kids in Canada when Devo was on tour. All these little punk rock spikes here that are glued on are touch sensitive. So when I turn this on,
yeah, that's very much like the booper in a way. Now, I wonder if it would still receive a baby room monitor and mix with that other processing. That would be a lot of fun.
It's got a 1/4-inch jack coming out of it, so you can put it through an amplifier.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So those are the things I'll be playing with at some point, maybe. And now maybe you should give people a tour of your weapons there.
Okay. Well, why don't we start by doing the test tone on the Shure mixer.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's hard to show because everything is on this camera, and I don't want the camera is all wired up.
But you had a really great shot of everything.
Give it a try.
Yeah.
Are you in a big hurry, or can I take my time?
Take your time, brother.
I'm going to take the camera off the little tripod because this Shure mixer is special. It's not just any mixer. If this will cooperate.
It's going to cooperate.
Oh, I don't know. There's forces of evil that want to mess me up good.
Oh, look at that. Okay, right. Yeah.
Okay, I see the VU meter.
Yeah.
Can you read the name?
No, it's really small on my screen.
Yeah.
I've got my screen set up so that it's kind of small, but I'm sure everybody else could watching on some large screens at home.
Well, this is a Shure M67 microphone mixer, and I found out that this was like the main mixer. They had like 6 of them at Woodstock. This is the very model they used at Woodstock.
Wow.
So that's, and boy, I wish I had a separate camera because I'm trying to show you the inputs and I can barely do it. But if that's number 1 right there, that's where the test tone is going to come in.
Okay.
And with that in mind, I'm straining. I'm going to put this back in the tripod.
Yep, that's good.
And now, during this time, was my voice distorted or did it stay clear the whole time?
It's more clear when you're closer to the mic, and it didn't distort it. It just got lower in volume.
Okay, that's good. That means it's not compressing the dynamics very much.
That's right.
Now, I'll bet on your end the audio processing is on. I kind of tell it's clamped down, but you probably shouldn't try anything while we're live.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Maybe I can help you with that another time because it will tend to block the subtle noises.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Now that I actually, and I'm surprised that the app on the phone, the StreamYard app, let me do that. So let's start with the test tone. I'm going to switch it on. And it's faded all the way down, but I'm wondering if you can hear just a faint tone in the background.
And I just disabled audio processing. So
you were able to do it on the fly.
That's right.
Can you hear that very faint tone?
I can hear the very faint tone, David, yes.
Now, I wonder if it's not so faint to you if it's turning up the level.
No, it's still pretty faint.
Okay, that's good because it's lower than -20. That means there's no noise gates, no processing trying to get in, and I'm getting a little bit of echo, but that's a good thing. That means that it's not clamping down, and that's what we want.
Okay, great.
So now I'm going to turn up the tone to about -20. Be careful, it might be loud to you.
Oh, yeah.
How was that?
It was great.
No distortion, just a pure tone.
That's right.
Okay. So I think now we can move on to, well, maybe the police calls and the baby room monitor.
That's right.
So that's over on, in fact, I'll move the camera.
Yeah, let us see those
a
things.
little bit where I'm touching. Yeah, I'm glad you turned off that processing. That's real wide high fidelity.
Okay, great.
On input number 3, that's, you can't see that mixer, but it's next to this, and then right there, that's the scanner, and that other receiver, that's just a communications receiver.
Okay.
And they're both on input number 3. They should both be on at once now, so I'm going to fade it up.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the police to say something.
Oh, this is the scanner. Okay, right.
You can message 138 via CAD to the suspects in the interview room.
Suspects in the interview room.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably going to torture it.
Copy.
With all the noise.
Yeah, you don't mess around with Seattle police.
To familiarize themselves with the situation, they're new to the area.
Oh, and I'm going to turn off the test tone because
Okay.
don't need that anymore.
They're in the lobby.
If I happen to notice some questions from people in the chat, I'll ask you. But it's kind
Yeah,
of hard to-
absolutely.
Now, maybe you can talk about a little bit about how you initially met the guys in Negativland.
Okay, well, it
And you can do
started
noise.
with,
You can do noise at the same time.
you know what I ought to do? What's this? Hold on a second.
Everett Highway, 1624 hours.
Oh, they didn't say what it was. Probably an automobile accident on I-5.
That's a good guess.
I think what I'll do, I'll start the booper and have it low in the background while we're talking.
Okay, and explain to people what the booper is.
Okay, let me tilt the camera down a little bit.
The booper is probably your most famous audio weapon, right?
Yeah, and this one, it never leaves Seattle. This is the latest one I made. You know, the original one, I started working on it probably in the early 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, probably in my senior year at high school, I took it into the classroom and had it under my coat. And I switched it on a few times, and the teacher didn't know what to think. It was really silly.
Could you tilt it up so we can see that it says booper, or is it strapped down?
Oh, not at all. I can do
Oh,
that.
yeah, look at that. Look at that, everybody. That is the booper, and there's David's face on it, so that means it's legit.
Now, maybe people would like to know now, before I say that, is that echo getting too much for you? I can hear myself echoing a little bit. Does that bother you? I don't mind it.
No,
Maybe
can't
you're not
bother
even
me.
hearing it. Good.
I'm not really hearing it, but you can't bother me with noise.
All right. Well, the artwork was done by our friend. I don't know if you know Sean Wolf, who
No,
also lives in Seattle, but I just thought I'd mention that.
that's great.
Originally, I was going to make these, like mass produce them. I have several of these face plates in different colors, and I may eventually make another one.
Oh, yeah.
I can still get these boxes. I got this one at Fry's Electronics, and I think they're going to go out of business. But I still see this box, the same size box, is available, possibly on Amazon. There's several online places I could get another one if I need to.
How would you describe the purpose of the booper to somebody who has no idea about this genre of noise or music?
Well, I discovered probably, maybe even earlier, probably 1968, 69, I discovered I could I guess, circuit bend a transistor radio just by taking the output, like one of the speaker terminals, put a wire there, and then I would touch the other end of the wire onto the circuit board in various places. I also ruined a couple radios doing that because you can short circuit the entire unit. So I discovered an electronic component called a capacitor blocks any direct current that could short it out, but it lets the alternating current, which is the oscillation or the music, through. So I always use a capacitor when I'm probing from the speaker output to various points on a circuit board. So the heart of this, and this one's the same way, it has a little amplifier with a feedback circuit. But then I also discovered how to actually make transistorized amplifiers. And I have like 4 of them in series. And then off of the different parts of the circuit, I take signal and feed it back. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's great.
And
so
I have
now
to know a little bit of what you're doing, but I don't know a heck of a lot. I just know how to not destroy electronic components and how to make them sound funny. And that's all I need to know.
That's great. And then yesterday when we were testing this, you had a couple of little tiny microphones.
Yes.
Are those still
Yes,
in effect?
they are. I can show you one right now.
All right.
Yeah, that one. Fade that up a little bit.
And those are microphones that will let it distort or not let it. They compress the sound, right?
Not this one. That's another one. That's the wireless microphone.
Okay.
This is just another. These microphones are as cheap as 99 cents, and I'll fade the dynamic one down. Let me tilt back up again.
Yeah, let's see your beard.
Yeah, it's pretty big today.
It's pretty big today.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming and watching this. We're just getting started here.
So right now I'm just on that little microphone. This one is faded down completely. How does this one sound for 99 cents?
Sounds great. It sounds great.
But it has to have what they call phantom power, and not just regular phantom power. It's low voltage phantom power. So I discovered a website where they sell these adapters that they terminate in an XLR plug that plugs right into the mixer, and it'll take the 48 volts phantom power. But then in this little device, it converts it down to around 5 volts direct current. And that is applied to the microphone, and then it's isolated and with a capacitor to block the direct current. So the signal, the alternating current, goes into the microphone preamplifier.
So if you do something loud into that microphone, what is
this one? In fact, this one should distort. Like right now, it should be distorted.
Yeah, do it again.
Yeah. But I guess I'll have to play that back later. It didn't sound that bad. I thought it would be more crispy, but it isn't. I was up to almost 0 on the mixer. Of course, when the iRig gets here, this should all be a lot easier.
Yeah,
and it's on the way, according to Sweetwater.
What's the difference between that little microphone and the other one that you had yesterday?
The wireless one?
Yeah, it looks kind of like that one you have in your hand.
Yes, I'll demonstrate that one. If you don't mind me taking my time, I got to... In fact, with this one set down, can you still hear me okay? I'll kind of fade it up a little more.
It's a little low, but yeah.
Hear the whole room a little bit. I'll bring my output down so it doesn't feed back. I'm going to reach over and grab the body pack wireless microphone transmitter.
Okay.
It's a little Sony.
Yeah.
And this transmits on 801 megahertz. So on this communications receiver, it's a special radio. Most scanners won't do FM wide band. This one does. So I can tune that right into the frequency of this transmitter, and this microphone will come through. So let me demonstrate that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to first tune the scanner. Well, let's see what the baby room monitor is doing in case the baby woke up. Oh, and I have to fade the police calls out. And you hear that little static?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing happening on the baby room monitor. So that's the same input that radio is on. So now you'll hear it beep as I tune to another frequency. I have to change it from narrow FM to wide FM, so the noise will change in quality too. So we'll go, and notice it got quieter.
Yeah.
Now it's on wideband FM. Now I'm going to tune it to 801 megahertz. And that noise is there because the wireless transmitter isn't turned on yet. So now I'm going to actually switch it on, and it should come on, and it might go into feedback because it's extremely powerful. Okay, it switched on. Now I'm on that one, and I'm going to switch off or fade out the other one. And now I'm just on this one, and that has a different sound quality about it, doesn't it? And I'm lower right now.
Yeah, much lower. Yep.
Okay, now that's coming up, and it's going to go into some feedback. But I can get extremely loud. I'm going to say and I bet that stayed clear.
It stayed really clear.
Yeah.
Can you get louder than that?
And what was that again? I'm sorry.
Can you get louder and dumber than that?
I don't know. That was pretty dumb. I can do just about anything. I'm the neighbors are gonna come after me. I better be careful. I'm sorry.
They're gonna call the police.
They might, and maybe I'll hear my own police call on coming to take me away.
That would be wonderful.
Now, there's a reason that this microphone works this way. This has another box that's a receiver, and it expands the dynamics back out again. When I'm just receiving it on the scanner, it's receiving what they call the companded signal. That's so it can transmit without distorting. So on the Sony receiver, it expands the range back out again. I think it has over 100 dB dynamic range. But using it through the scanner, none of that range is there. It's just all compressed.
Sure.
But it's a nice effect. I kind of like it.
That's great.
So let me bring that down again. Were there any questions yet?
Well, let me see. I'm trying to look at the chat here.
I'm going to go back to the other microphone.
And if anybody wants to ask a question of David, what you could do is you could tag me in your chat comment, so I'll see it pop up more easily amongst the other chat comments, and I will ask David. Also, we always appreciate you guys hitting the thumbs up on the video, and of course, your tips are always appreciated if you enjoy what you're seeing and hearing. So let's give it a minute here and see if anybody has any questions for David Wills, aka the Weatherman.
And I think with that in mind, I'm going to bring on the booper and have it just going low for a while. Let's see.
And I forgot to tell you about this analog instrument I have.
Yeah, you can't get much more analog than that. My God.
That's analog. It's almost analog.
See if I can find the booper. Of course, it's absolutely silent. Of course.
Okay, here we go.
It on. I have it off. That's why.
Here we go. Oh, that sounds good.
It's starting to work.
That sounds good. Now, I'll just throw a question at you, David.
Yes.
Anophis, somebody named Anophis says, David, what do you think is the strangest instrument you've ever used? Lots of fun circuit bent stuff? Anything that genuinely surprised you how well it worked?
I just don't think I can answer that because it all started with the booper.
Yeah.
I had several radios that I circuit bent, I guess, even before the term circuit bending I never heard of circuit bending until recently.
Right.
There wasn't anything like that. But I did things to radios. In fact, there's a couple of them that I never even unpacked since I moved to Seattle. They've been in the garage for over 20 years, still packed up.
I see. Now your voice is a little far away now. I'm not sure what microphone is on.
That's actually this one, and it was
Oh,
kind
there
of.
we go. Now
I was
that's
setting it down. I'm going to go back to the dynamic because that's right in front of me. So.
And I'll just throw another question at you. This is from Cardinal Sin. He says, "What is your favorite live experience?" And I guess he means live concert experience. I guess that could be Negativland or other.
Well, first of all, how does this sound?
It could be louder.
Okay, how about that?
It could be
Probably,
louder.
yeah, I know. The booper is probably, now it probably sounds fine.
I can't hear it at all now.
Oh, that's strange. I'm sending, you can't hear me?
I mean, I hear you. I'm talking about the noise.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. What happens in most of these different apps, as soon as a couple sounds come on, one will dominate. Now, you can hear the booper very faintly in the background, and you can probably hear me pretty good now.
I can hear it, yeah. So what is your
Okay.
favorite live experience?
Yeah, there was a performance when I actually, I think I'm remembering right, I brought a real live toad on stage in a
For
Negativland
Negativland.
show. Yeah. I don't even remember where it was, but I actually had the toad squeak. I made sure that it was a male toad because only the males squeak.
Oh, listen,
And then,
before you tell the rest of the story, I got to tell you, Mark from Negativland just popped in and he just happened to ask that exact question. He said, "Get David to tell you about when he brought a real toad on stage."
well,
Okay,
maybe
so
you can get Mark to tell me what show that was. Was it Ollie's? I can't remember, but I know I did it.
So what? So yeah, tell the story. What happened with the toad?
Well, I just kind of made it squeak, had it kind of clamp onto my arm because it wanted to mate. That's just what they do. And I got that idea because years earlier, when visiting my grandparents in Santa Rosa, California, there's a creek there that we go to each year. They knew that I liked going there, and we went there during the mating season of toads. It was a creek called Mark West Creek, and there was a little overpass over Highway 101 that goes through Santa Rosa. There was also blackberries there that we picked, but I found like 30 toads, and they were like sandwiches because they were mating. They didn't care if I picked them up. I'd get a male and a female, so there was like 15 of each.
Wow.
And I kept them in a bucket for a few days, but then I did let them go.
Oh, good.
But I kept 2 of them, and 2 became my pet toads. Regular plumper and super plumper. How about that?
That's great. Hey, can you tilt the camera up just a bit so we could see? Yeah. There we go. Well, that's great. Yeah, and Mark said yes, it was Ollie's that happened at.
Okay.
And he mentioned some
And-
kind of toad juice.
Yeah, it squirted juice, and the audience saw it, and they all laughed. There really isn't much else to it.
That's all you need.
And I may have said something sexual about the toad, like it was trying to have sex with my arm.
Which was not a lie.
Well, it didn't know any better. And
it
may have actually been super plumper, and then I know it couldn't have been because I kind of I stopped having pet toads even before Negativland. It was just one I found in Contra Costa County somewhere.
Oh, sure. So okay, so we have more questions. Let me see if I could. Somebody
How's the booper
asked-
sounding?
I can't hear it.
Let me give it a little more. This is just a good learning experience. Now you can hear it a little bit, can't you?
Yeah.
Is my voice still okay? Even
Your
with
voice
that
is
other
perfect. Your voice is
Excellent.
perfect.
We'll leave it like that for a while.
Okay, so this question is from Jason Plum. He says, "I would love to hear the backstory of David's repeated use of the quote, 'Are you dapper?' I love it so much. Where did it come from?"
Okay, that's a simple one. There's an episode of the Three Stooges where they go into a dive bar, and there's gangsters in there, and one of them is named Dapper, and they're looking for this gangster, and they're asking everyone sitting at the tables, "Are you Dapper?" And they react. They stand up and threaten to punch them in the nose. And that's really all there is to it. I just like that scene.
There's so many quotes that you're kind of known for because they really jump out at people from those Negativland releases or the live shows, and they're very memorable. You come up with some great phrases. Somebody named White Mayo 399 asks, "Have you ever circuit bent any synths? If so, which one?" Synthesizers.
Let's see. No, I haven't. The only thing that I actually did a quick little repair on when Negativland had an ARP Odyssey. I think it was just a matter of an output jack not working right, and that's all I've done. I prefer to just work with things that aren't meant to make noises and make them
that's
into
great.
Things.
For sure.
And not very many of them. I'm not doing very much of it anymore.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I'm kind of slow. I might even be considered autistic. I like to do one thing at a time.
Yep, that makes
That'd be a
sense.
lesson to you, Mark. One thing at a time.
Mark.
Okay.
Mark's watching. Okay, we'll take
I'm
one
sure
more
he
question.
Probably is.
We'll take one more question, and then we'll just go into some full-on noise experimentation. Okay.
Okay, because I have more stuff I haven't shown yet or done.
Yeah, we have to see that. Okay, so one more question, and it's from somebody's name I can't pronounce, unfortunately, but it says, "I assume you could catch the wireless microphone frequency with SDR. How far does the wireless microphone transmit?"
Okay, I have already used it on my Air Spy. It actually doesn't sound as good because the Air Spy is so precise. It's very tinny, and it goes into feedback. This AOR brand, that's letters AOR communications receiver that I have is, shall we say, a little sloppier about the tuning, so it actually sounds better through that. But yes, it goes all over my house. I've actually put it on the SDR and turned up the speakers because the SDR is on my big hi-fi system. So I turn it up and I can walk all the way back to my back bedroom and it's still there. I haven't really gone outside the house because of the pandemic. I'm staying in.
Well, you got a lot of toys. You got a lot of toys to play with in there. I would stay in too. So show us the rest of what you have there.
Okay. Tilt this back down again.
Thanks for doing that. I know it's a pain, but we love to see this stuff.
Wonder if I ought to just take it off the tripod for a minute. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, I don't have to unscrew it. I can unclamp the camera.
Yeah.
That I did before. What am I thinking about? God, I'm dumb.
One thing at a time, David. One thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
Ooh, what was that?
Now, that was my first tape loop I ever made.
What? What year?
1974 in my electronic music class.
Okay, now tell us
Diablo
about
Valley
that.
College.
Tell us about that and let us hear it.
Well, after I graduated from high school, I started getting interested more in music and audio. And when I started college, probably in 1973, I discovered there was this class with a funny name. It was called Colloquy in electronic music. And the professor's name, Professor Brookmeyer, I remember.
You remember that? Wow.
Yeah. Richard took the class too later on.
Really?
So we had a whole session where we all got tape and splicing tape, and we all learned how to splice tape. There was no computers, none of this silly stuff now. We had big Magnacord Model 1028 tape recorders with tubes, and we were splicing tape on those.
Now, the tape that you spliced, was it already pre-recorded? Was it just random piece of tape, or did you record?
Yeah, that was a class project. We were all instructed to find some recording tape with stuff on it, just 1/4-inch tape, and just splice it. And actually, without even looking, just to see what we could come up with.
Really?
But
Let's hear that. Let's hear that tape loop.
Rewind that again a little further. It's just something really dumb.
I don't believe it. Do you remember what it was originally? What was that tape?
I actually was just saying this is stupid, and I just made it into a loop. That's all I did. There's nothing to it.
So you recorded over what was already on the tape.
Yeah. The other tape where we were splicing stuff that we didn't know what was, I've lost that. This is just another project from
Can you run
class.
that? Can you just for me, just because I'm curious, can you run that tape loop through the booper really quick?
Let's see, yeah. Let me
All
wind
right.
it back a little more because that's
Because-
just another thing I can demonstrate.
Because people in the chat, I got to tell you, the booper does wonderful things, and you can run things through that, and it becomes a totally different thing.
Yes, it sure does. Let me explain how that works.
Okay.
The booper has its own channel on the mixer, but then I also wired an input onto the booper itself. It's actually on the first stage of all these cascaded transistor amplifiers. So the mixer has an effect send on every channel. So everything that the mixer puts out, if I turn up its send, I can feed it into the booper, and the booper will make the worst fuzz box you ever heard.
Or best.
So, well, maybe. Let's try that and see if I can find it.
Let's do it. And thank you everybody again for being here and watching, and we appreciate it. Yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And there it is back to normal again.
And it's saying this is stupid.
Yeah, that's all it is. Nothing else.
It's perfect because you became so connected to that word stupid throughout your career with Negativland.
One of my favorite words, actually.
Thank you, Cardinal Sin. Thank you, Cardinal Sin, for the donation, and thank you to Ren and Joe Provo. I believe you made a donation earlier. Thank you so much. You guys are appreciated. Now, David, I think you should tell us more about this other stuff you have on that table, and then maybe we could get into some sound play together.
Okay. Well, you can't see it, but over on the other side of the mixer is my cassette tape deck, the one that I've used a long time to transfer family tapes.
What brand is that?
It's a Sony TCD5M.
Like one of the little square ones? The little rectangular ones?
Yeah, it's not a Walkman Pro. It's actually the bigger
one of those like shoebox looking, like a kind of flatter than a
shoebox. It's more square.
Oh, okay.
But boy, this is clumsy. It wants to stop me so bad. And yeah, the wires aren't barely going to let me do it. They're not letting me do anything. Boy, these wires.
I'm going to change the camera to this view, so maybe it'll be better.
And because the picture is so tiny, it's hard for me to
Look at that. Wow, look at that. It's got a nice little case.
Yeah, but when I get close, then I can't tell where I'm lining up. But let me just guess.
So
Maybe you
that
can
has
see it
has
now.
that worked perfectly all these years, or have you had to repair it?
It's worked perfectly, but just recently the fast forward, I don't know if you can see that, doesn't
Yep.
work anymore. I think the
Oh,
belt broke.
oh,
But the
okay.
rewind and play, record, Dolby, AB, it all works fine.
That's amazing.
And that's what I use to transfer my tapes. Yeah,
That's
this.
great.
There's got to be a better way with this phone and these cameras. That's ridiculous.
It's
But that's
ridiculous
just the
is
way it
good.
is.
Ridiculous is good.
Yeah, let's see what we've got right
So,
here.
That's Michael acting silly, everybody.
what
Yeah, that's
was
right.
was that? What was I doing?
I don't know.
Was that from like 20 something years ago?
Well, let's find out.
Show. Why are you throwing buttons all over? You're throwing bits of. Hey, pick up your mess. You threw a button all over the place. Pick it up.
Oh, this is the Sprite early childhood
Yeah,
tape
it's
of
the
this.
other part that they didn't use on the record.
Oh, I got you
There's a
right.
whole lot of that stuff. And that little friend of mine, his name was Michael, that's all.
So that was from many years ago.
1969 or 70, probably.
Wow, that's great. For a second there, when I heard that name, I thought you had recorded us, because we did that radio show back in the
Yeah.
day.
Who asked
And
me? Somebody on asked me to do that. Paul Quesnell asked me to do that to you. So if he's
oh, good.
watching, I did it. I hope you're happy.
That's great. Yeah, I haven't heard from Paul in a while, so I don't know if he's watching.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with him, but who knows? I'm
Who
not going to
knows?
worry about anything right now. Now
So what?
I wanted to try something new that I didn't
Okay.
have yesterday or the day before. I don't know if you can see this. It's from Japan, and what
Right.
you do, you're when you need to go, when you want to put someone on hold on an old phone, you set the phone down.
And it plays music.
Yeah,
Where did you get that?
I think Richard found this at a thrift store up here in Seattle.
That's amazing. I've never seen one of those.
You can see the Japanese characters.
Wow, what's it called?
I don't know what it's called, but you can see it's a cradle. You set the phone in there and it pushes the button.
You could probably still do that with an iPhone. You could probably put the iPhone right there.
I tried a few things and I don't have a weight that's heavy enough, but I wanted to see how it sounded on the wireless microphone.
All right.
It's right there. So,
Let's do it.
and yeah, it's still tuned into 801. So,
And whenever you're ready for me to join in with some noise, let me know.
I have to hold my finger on it.
It's soothing.
Yeah.
Now make it unsoothing.
Oh yeah, I can do that. You're right. I got to wind it up a little bit again. I don't know.
Wind it up. You're good at winding people up.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Maybe needs a little oil. That wind is awfully tight. Now let's see if I can process this through the booper. I'll start it out normal, then I'll do the effects send over the booper. So here we
Okay.
go. Bear with me.
I'm bearing. Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah,
How was that?
it was beautiful. It was great hold music.
I was all confused though. The police calls are coming through, and I get very flustered when I'm on live. I don't think I could do a live performance now unless you wanted something completely random.
Yeah, I like random. Yeah, I'm
Well,
just saying,
you're getting it.
people are interested in what you've got there. So have we gone through all of your devices?
Let's see. You heard the cassette tape.
Yep.
You heard the baby room monitor, the scanner, the dynamic microphone, the wireless microphone, the booper, and the little tiny microphone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the setup that I have up to now. But when I get the iRig, things will get simpler and I may expand. And
Yeah.
actually, there is one more thing I wanted to try. So I
Okay.
wanted to see if a post from my website will play. So I'm going to try it and see if it actually comes through. Forgot
Okay.
all about that. Okay, where is that signal going in? And it's here.
So while you're doing that, maybe you could tell us real briefly how you came across the guys in Negativland, how you first met them.
Well, yeah, we were starting to do that, weren't we? About 20
Yeah.
minutes ago. I'm going to stop that again. Well, it started with Richard in high school in 1972.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like 8 years before Negativland. Richard and I were both interested in audio and recording and making funny noises.
How did you
So
discover that about him?
I guess we liked during gym class. Me and a group of other like-minded people. There were several of us, including a name I may have mentioned, Everett Harness. I don't know if you've heard that name. I don't know what happened to him. He
Right.
could have been in Negativland, but he just faded away.
Right.
But Richard and I stayed friends, and Richard was interested in radio, and actually, I was trying to make a pirate radio station. And I
Wow.
actually made a little transmitter, and Richard actually did little shows from his bedroom when he was still living in Martinez.
And what year would
And
have that been?
Pardon me?
What year would have that been?
Probably mid 70s, 75, 76.
Okay.
We'd gotten started. Because I was on the roof fiddling with an antenna, and my mother would call me, and Richard's on the phone again. And he just kept calling and calling, and I was always trying to make my antenna work. So finally, I gave in, and we became friends, and I made this little transmitter for him. It had 2 transistors.
Oh,
but it transmitted about a mile. It was very unstable. If you walk near the antenna, it changes frequency.
oh, wow. Wow.
And I think he had 2 regular listeners in his neighborhood in another part of Martinez.
That's great. All right. So let's,
And actually,
reach out.
I guess I had Everett Harness do that too, my other friend.
Uh-huh.
He
How did
lived
you
on
meet?
the other side of the valley, and it went about a quarter of a mile. And I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, I'm sorry. I do the same. I'm doing the same thing to you. I just
That's
wondered,
all right.
how did you guys discovering that you liked sound become Negativland?
That was like in 1978. We both had this job in Walnut Creek that involved calling people on the phone to ask them to watch a television show to do a market research survey. And we were doing it for NBC, actually.
Wow.
And I actually got to go to the cable company and start the film. They'd send the shows up on video cassette, and my job was to go over to the local access studio and start the tape, the 3/4 inch tape. And then while the tape was running, sometimes I'd go back to the site, as they called it, where all the phones were, and call some of the people that we had recruited, as we call it, to watch this show.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd ask them questions about the show. And Mark had a job there, and Richard and I spied Mark right off the bat, and we knew that he was something special.
How did you know?
Well, I think in less than a month, and luckily we became friends before this happened, Mark was fired. The lady who was in charge of the office pointed the door and told Mark, and she just said, "Get out."
What did he do?
He was just real silly, and I don't really know what he did that was really that bad. I'm sure he's probably holding his head laughing now because I'm probably not correct, but
Maybe
he
he's
did.
going to tell us.
He just was doing things that the supervisor didn't like. I can't remember. It wasn't really bad, but it was kind of a hard job because some of the people didn't watch the show and they were rude when we called back, and
Right.
we were just kids and we didn't really know how to handle it. And I guess it got to Mark a little bit, and in fact, he told me just the other day he doesn't hold back, and he doesn't like something, he lets people know.
Oh, right.
Now he's really going to get on me for that, I guess. I don't know, but I guess it's the truth.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know if he posts something in the chat about that. So how about this? How about we get a little noise going in the background there, and we'll see if anybody has any more questions for you. But let's just build up slowly from a low noise that you can generate, and then we'll just both start adding to it very gradually and see what happens.
Okay, let me start with that tape again because I kind of talked over that. It's something I've posted recently, but it applies to the way things are now. So here we go.
And thank you everybody. Thank you everybody in the chat for watching and for the thumbs ups and all the tips that you've given. That's very nice, and I appreciate it. And thank you, David, for being here.
Spit on the meat. Boy. Michael, spit on the meat. Hey, what's going on there? Power off. Listen to the meat sizzling.
Thank you, Cardinal Sin.
Oh boy, Michael, spit on the meat. Come on, this mess. What do you think you're doing? Hey, you're still spitting on the meat.
Is that you saying spitting on the meat?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Thank you, Ren Provo. It's very sweet of you. Oh yeah, that sounds good.
What do you mean, what people? The meat is not on the barbecue. He spit the meat off the barbecue. It's gone. The meat is gone. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Pouring 7-Up all over the microphone. What do you think you're doing?
That was long before you had a beard. Okay, Mark did respond. Mark said,
I bet he did.
Mark said, I try to be a good and dutiful employee, but stuff slips out and I'd get fired. It happened more than a few times in my teens and 20s.
Yep, that's right. He just told me that a couple days ago. That's exactly correct. So
He's a
I guess I
rebel.
wasn't too far off.
He's a rebel. Thanks for that, Mark. Thanks for chiming in there. Yeah, more noise.
Fire 2, engine 392.
Engine 392, go ahead.
Could you start a medicuing for us? You can show aid 131 and medic 135, both transporting to Evergreen.
Okay.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Avenue Northwest, 1708 hours.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
David, can you hear what I'm doing at all?
Yes, I can. It's coming. In fact, it might even be affecting the booper.
Oh, really?
Let's see. If I turn up your incoming signal louder, gotta be careful. Let's see. I'll place the little microphone in front of the monitor speaker, and then it'll pick you up, and then I'll direct it to go to the booper. Let's see if that works. Let's see. Boy, these wires are stubborn. They want to do what they want to do, and not what I want them to do. There we go. Now let's see. I don't hear anything. What are you doing?
I can pick up a car and I can do the transport.
Keep going. Yeah, I think I can see what's happening. When my sound gets loud, it cuts your sound off completely, and then I can't hear it.
Beauty of noise.
But it's working a little bit.
Now, what if I do this?
Do it some more. I was doing it wrong.
Yeah. I can't hear your microphone now, David. David, I can't hear your microphone.
Yeah, that was
Oh, there
my
we go.
fault. Yeah.
Now, I think you should do something similar like that, but then use your voice a whole lot because people love to hear your voice.
Okay, let me show you something else. There was one other signal source I didn't show you because I'm so absent-minded. You see that little thing?
What is that?
You can.
Yeah. What is it?
It's a little instrument made by a Russian company that also makes modular synthesizers. It's called Soma Ether,
Okay.
and it's like a little broadband receiver. It just picks up magnetic fields and radio noise. Well, I
Oh,
haven't tried that yet, but unfortunately, the noise in this room isn't all that interesting. So, but let's see. Maybe it'll be better today. I'll fade it up if I can remember where I plugged it in. Hear that low noise in the background? That's it.
yeah.
Doesn't do a heck of a lot more in this room, but I can move it near my power supplies.
What will that do?
Kind of makes this other noise. And let's see, bring that up a little more. That's near my LED light.
Somebody just asked what you thought of the Negativland mention in the Wall Street Journal at the end of June. Did you know about that?
Well, I made a big deal about it. I
Okay.
feel for myself that, and this is kind of tongue in cheek, I guess. Well, I'm not qualified to be in the Wall Street Journal. What the heck are they putting me in that for? But maybe the rest of Negativland is if they talked about the lawsuit and the U2 stuff, and that's the stuff I kind of deliberately stay ignorant about.
Yeah,
Sure,
right.
I was part of it, and I did the song, and still can't find what I'm looking for. And does anybody know what I was actually looking for? It wasn't what you might expect.
Let's see if anybody
I was
gets it
actually
right.
looking for something, and I actually found it. I actually made up lyrics so that I found what I was looking for. If you can imagine that. So does anybody remember what I was looking for? And it's just really dumb.
I'm looking here in the chat to see 409 somebody asks.
No, that's a good answer, but that's not it.
The flubber module?
No.
Honey lips.
Yeah, I was looking for that at one point, but not anymore. I gave up on the honey lips, couldn't find them.
Gave up on the honey lips.
Yep.
Don't ever give up on the fat one. You were looking for the fat one, right?
Oh yeah, that's not exactly what I was looking for, but that's a good answer. The fat one is also known as the big, huge monster who thinks they're goddess. That's Goddest, goddess of all queens, whatever that means. I have no idea what that means. And that wasn't me that said that. That was another high school friend. In fact, I've got that somewhere on my blog. But
Hey, I just wanted to say hello to somebody that is in the
Yes.
chat, and my friend Andrew at the record label who released Silica Gel's reissue 2016. He released our double album set. And hello, Andrew. Great that you're here. Thank you so much
Hello,
for making.
Andrew.
Thanks for helping my dreams come true, Andrew. You truly did that for me. I never thought I'd see Silica Gel on vinyl.
Now I do have another tape here. I don't know if it's ready, but let's see. It's a family tape that I don't think I've posted or ever played it before.
Do you have anything like a Negativland collection at all, David? Do you have any of the records or CDs, or do you keep that kind of stuff?
Yes, I do, but I don't play them hardly ever.
Right, but you do have a collection.
Yeah, I pretty much have one copy of everything they did.
That's great.
And notice I said they, like I'm not in the group.
Well, would you want one of these if I sent you one, the Silica Gel album?
I don't have a turntable set up, but I have the tape, as you know, and it's perfect because I probably only played it one time a long time ago.
Well, I'll send it to you just so you have it for your collection.
That little card is just perfect.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, I didn't know that that came out on an LP. I thought that was strictly a tape.
It was CD when it first came out, and then it came out on vinyl in 2016, thanks to my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were the master tapes still okay? Because they sat around for years. Isn't that the idea?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was the master tapes for that were actually digital. Back then it was.
Okay.
We took those digital recordings.
When did the original one come out?
93.
Oh yeah, digital would have been around then. I was thinking
we recorded live to DAT tape back then. So all the stuff that we played on that record was played by fingers and floppy disks.
Oh, okay. Let's see what these people are talking about.
That's your mom.
Well, I have it set on there for every.
What are they talking about? Listen for a minute.
Who said it?
The guy that came to put it up to install.
What year was that?
140 or 40, something like that.
Probably in the mid-70s.
I know it's 40 connected with it. It's 100.
107. No, my little dial doesn't have numbers. It just says hot, normal, warm. And I have it right in the middle of normal.
Right in the middle of normal.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think mine is as hot as it should be. It's hot, but it's not nearly as hot as yours. Yeah. I really like it a little bit hotter, but
I suppose I could take the temperature sometime by, if I stuck the thermometer in a glass of this hot water, would it break? It would register what it is. No, it wouldn't register high enough, would it? Because the thermometer only goes to about 100 and what? 120.
It's amazing to me, David, how much your mother sounds like you.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people have told me that. And back in the early 1930s, she was a telephone operator in Los Angeles.
It's great because, I think when people initially hear Negativland and they hear you in Negativland, they think it's a character, they think it's a put on, and they think you're talking like that as an act. But it really is just as your voice, and you can tell by the way you're.
And it's nice to be able to make people laugh without having to act. That's fun.
That's right. It's just great that it's so genetic, and your mother talked exactly the same way you do.
Yeah. Now I'm going to see if I can find something, but keep asking questions. I think I can still hear you okay.
Somebody named Dave says, can you ask David what his mom thought of being on Negativland songs?
Well, she actually enjoyed it up to a point. She did that whole thing with the cigarettes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had fun doing that, in spite of what maybe it kind of looked like.
Right.
Although I kind of wanted her to be upset because was supposedly couldn't find her cigarettes, which originally were Benson and Hedges 100s, which actually goes all the way back to 180G. And the 180G is just the address of some friends I knew in Martinez, and their mother liked Benson and Hedges 100s, and she usually had a habit of leaving them on top of the refrigerator. So you remember some of that from that piece, I guess.
I do. Where
And
are my
that actually
cigarettes?
happened. Yeah, on top of the refrigerator.
That's great. So, David, what is while you're setting things up there, can you tell us, when you think about Negativland, what is one of the most happy moments that you can remember from the history of being in Negativland? What's one of the things that really made you very, very happy during that whole time?
Let's see.
Just the first thing that comes to mind.
I think the early over-the-edge radio shows.
Yeah, when you did them really late at night, early in the morning, right?
Yeah, and when we didn't know what we were doing, and everything was analog, there was no delay. It was all just a lot of fun.
That's great. I remember I was lucky enough with Silica Gel to be a part of one of those radio shows back then, and back in the early to mid 90s, and it was really fun. Right. It was really incredible. So thanks
as usual, I can't do two things at once here. I should be more organized, but I'm not. I can't find anything. The iPad is a real old one, and it's very slow, and it's not cooperating.
It's funny. Everybody's making little Negativland comments like where all the parakeet feathers are and behind the TV.
Yeah, I guess at one point we had the TV set near the bird cage, and I just noticed they would fall behind there, and I just kind of liked that and elaborated on it.
I really want to hear you try to overload that microphone again like you did before. I like when you get.
Let's see how this sounds.
I like when you turn the dumb stupid up.
All right, let's see if this is working.
And thank you again, everybody who's here and who's been watching. This has been a real treat for me. Uh-oh. Analog farts.
That's my stomach.
That's your stomach?
Yeah.
What year?
Let's see. That's a blog post playing. Sometime in 2017.
What did you eat that day? Do you remember?
A prune juice does a good job. I know that. Yeah.
That sounds really great. Let's pump that up a little bit. I mean, you can't get more analog than your stomach. That's amazing.
And that's not even a very good recording. I'll have to find a better one.
Bring the noise.
And here's the version with reverb.
It's amazing. I threw up. Wow.
My stomach means business.
The dumb, stupid stomach.
Yeah.
How did you record? Where was the microphone?
Well, it's one of those little tiny ones, and you can make a seal right on your surface of the skin, like a stethoscope.
Oh. Where was this on your skin?
Right on my stomach.
It's amazing.
And this was actually in stereo because different parts of your intestine gurgle at different times.
Somebody named Anti-Co here says, I have hours of my own stomach recorded. Highly recommended for anybody with a decent mic.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet a
Listen to
lot of
that.
people do that, and they're embarrassed to play it. I'm not.
Wow. Now, what is the booper going to do to that?
Let's see. Turn that over. And that's over here.
That's amazing.
When you said it was leaking, that's a brand new fancy water heater. It shouldn't do that. And do you still have the warranty for it? I mean, is it over with yet or?
No, it won't be until June.
Oh.
Charles has something that's from Sears. They have
Water heater?
equipment from Sears.
Yeah.
And their refrigerators from Sears. We can take it on insurance. Sears has something where you pay insurance so much a year, and if anything goes wrong, they come out and fix it. And I think it's very cheap. It's only about $11 a year.
That would be kind of worth having, wouldn't it?
But of course, if nothing goes wrong, you have to, not too much goes wrong with the refrigerator.
That one I have there that you gave us, so you sure haven't had any trouble with it.
Then you have to renew it.
Yeah.
What does this say?
Something neat, for heaven's sake.
You didn't believe me, did you?
I believe you.
All right.
Why,
What does that say? Can you read that? I can't. I'll have to have you read all that stuff.
I'm just mesmerized.
Well, I will read it.
Good.
They have the strangest titles on albums now.
Something neat, that whole thing.
That is a.
All
I
right.
don't know who thinks up those crazy
Oh,
names.
they're weirdos.
Weirdos. Is this the tape? This isn't the tape where your mother talks about Devo, is it?
It's similar. No, that isn't that
Yeah.
one.
Well,
It's
think
great.
I'm
Forgot about this
thirsty. You know that soy sauce is kind of salty and it makes you thirsty.
No, your mother's got well-fitting pants there. You don't need to look if they're smiling or not. They're not smiling even. Not even frowning.
You ever get that thing to burp?
No.
Too bad.
Okay.
David, I want to hear you try to overload that little microphone again.
All right, let's see. Let's see where it is.
Oh, well, now, this is what I was leading up to.
1, 2,
Urine.
Could you maybe while you're testing the mic, you could tell us a very loud story about some maybe a problem with some dirt you had recently or getting clean? Maybe there was a problem recently.
Well, let's see. Let me think about that.
Only it wasn't going to be a church service.
Let me
And
turn that off.
128th Avenue Northeast.
Uh-oh.
Brush fire. Pack 123, Battalion 121, Engine 126, Engine 122, Northeast 85.
Hey, Mark Hostler. Mark Hostler, I'm going to send you this link in the chat.
1732 hours.
You can click that link, Mark Hostler, and join us in video if you want.
Oh, that'll
Thanks
be
for
fun.
the-
I didn't know you could do that.
Thanks for the tip, Cardinal Sin. Thank you for the idea. I was so mesmerized by David's noise, I didn't. Thank you, William. Thanks for the tip.
There we go.
Come on, Mark.
Okay.
Come on, Mark. Click that link I put in the chat there.
He probably doesn't know how to do it.
He's probably in his underwear.
He might be. You never know.
All right, here we go.
Let's see. I guess a couple years ago, I had a problem with soap scum on my shower door.
Oh, yeah?
My little bathroom and way in the back. And I couldn't get the normal stuff that I get. I can't remember what it's called, but it's made by the same company that makes 409.
Yeah.
So I believe another friend of mine, or maybe it was Richard, we have a store here called the Grocery Outlet. I don't know if they have them back there, but they have these off brands of cleaners. And Richard found this soap scum remover, and it's the best stuff I ever tried. It's called Bang, Bang,
Wow.
Bang,
Bang.
and boy does it work. I spray it onto the shower door and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and it just comes right off with a sponge.
I'm going to have to try that. I've got some soap scum problems.
Yeah, the other one is called Tilex, and it was, I don't think it used to be put out by Clorox, but now it is. By the way, Clorox puts out 409 and a whole lot of other products.
Yeah.
And I don't use 409 anymore. It doesn't work on the coronavirus, according to the CDC.
Really?
Yeah. So they recommend, if you're going to stick with a Clorox brand, a Clorox Cleanup, which is the brand name, Clorox Cleanup with bleach.
Really?
And
And that's
it
it?
has a lot of Clorox or chlorine in it. And that kills the virus.
I see. So
But,
let's try to overload that microphone there.
So let's see what I can do. I don't think I can. Now, let's see. I can turn this up a little bit and drive it into feedback. But I'm singing. I'm singing again.
Yeah.
It's so good to be singing.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
singing. I'm
Ooh.
singing. I'm singing.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Nice.
What am I trying to do here?
Yeah.
Of course,
Love
I
it.
can't hear it.
More noise, more noise.
1330 East Riverside Drive. 1736 hours.
Yeah, I'm very disorganized. Half the stuff doesn't even work right. I'm gonna have to get quiet because I wanted to play this and I can't.
Okay, yeah. Get
Bring
quiet.
that one back up again.
I'm trying to get Mark Hostler into the chat here.
Yeah.
Into the video. Where are you, Mark? Oh, Cardinal Sin just reminded me of something.
Yeah, I'm fading down, so that was getting a little too much there.
171, Battalion 171.
Ooh, another fire.
189.
Do you drink alcohol?
15 Avenue Northeast.
I'd like to, but
7 hours.
oh, well, you're just asking if you want to. Go ahead.
No, I'm just asking if you ever do. I forgot.
I
if you,
do. I actually have. I like hard cider. I
Oh,
do like wine, but and then this mail order or online grocery, they won't sell a lot of liquor. It's just
okay,
wine
right.
and beer.
Yeah, I've been drinking a lot of wine lately during the pandemic. I used to drink beer and liquor, but with not being social.
I get off on failure.
Get off.
Now it's working. It wasn't working when I wanted it to work. Let's try a few of these. Boy, are they slow.
No, just
I
Mark,
am a
Mark,
smarmy man.
Mark, just come in for a second, Mark of Negativland. Just come in for a second.
Depend on failure of others.
I just want to see if it works, Mark.
So you're thinking maybe we could do this again sometime and have multiple people on.
Oh, we could do it again with just you and me with multiple people. Yeah, I think we should do this, maybe once every couple months or so. If you want to, if you think it's fun.
Failure must happen.
Yeah.
Failure is imminent. Now, you notice when I'm trying to play this stuff, there's a pause before it plays. Now, that's what really upsets me about digital. With analog, there was none of this hesitation. It always worked the first time. That's what made those early over-the-edge radio shows so much fun, because everything was right there. The phones were not delayed. I was even able to, I could have the ham radio jammers come through this actual radio. This is the same one that I was using back then.
Right. That's
Same
great.
one that
Yeah.
I'm receiving the wireless microphone on. I'd take it into the studio and tune into the jammers, and they could just talk on the air. At one time, I even did it when we were living, all of us were living in Pleasant Hill at the Ruth Drive house. I got CB radio on, and I managed to get the CB radio guys to talk through over the edge while Don kept it on the air. And there was no delay, so they could hear themselves on their car radios and they could talk. Now, you can't do that now.
Wow.
So, in fact, there's another thing I ought to try. I
remember
this little guy.
What is that?
A family radio. So let's see.
I remember those radio shows when those guys would call in and they did some really creative, weird stuff off the cuff.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It was really great. Whatever happened to that whole culture?
There's a couple of the guys still around. In fact, one of them even posted on my blog. And then the other guy actually was interviewed by the guy that posted on my blog, and there's a YouTube video. And they kind of talk about the old times that they used to do.
Oh, that's great.
But now the stuff is online. These software-defined radios are online, and I can listen to shortwave all over the world and ham radio jammers at will anytime I want if they're on. It's too easy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the same feel of the way things used to be before digital.
Right. I know. Yeah. I feel you. Hey, hello, Peter Graves. You just got here. Thank you for coming in. Now, David, is it okay if we do this for maybe another 20 minutes? Are you okay?
I'm fine. I figured I'd be boring you with all these technical issues.
No, everybody's very entertained, and
I'll try to find something else to play here. Let's see. Are they done talking about water heaters? Let's find out.
Maybe we could put some
fancy kind of cookie, And again, I don't really want to, but she always sounds so desperate, like she can't get anyone else, and would I please come, And so I said, well, okay. I said, when is this going to take place? And she said, it's going to be 3 days in a row, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of that week. And that he was going to be there for a couple of hours each evening. It was going to be in the evening. And so I said, well, I didn't think I could go the 3 days, but maybe I would go once with her. And so we talked about 10 minutes on the phone, and we made the plans, and I was going to go on a Monday. The Monday was going to be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I was going to go with her Monday evening at 7:30. And so we agreed, and I said, well, fine, I'll see you Monday evening. Well, I get all dressed up Monday evening, and it gets to be 7:30, and I'm sitting by the window there waiting for her to come for me. And about an hour before, I knew she was getting ready to go because she came down to the mailbox with her head all full of curlers, and I knew she was, getting herself ready. So I'm sitting there waiting, and 7:30 goes by, and about 7:45 comes along, and I see her backing down the driveway, and I thought she was coming over to get me, and she had Big John with her in the car, and they get down the street and go zoom up the street and leave me in the dust, and I thought, holy cow.
So I don't know. That was just that my mother was friends with the neighbor, and they were going to go to some art show, and the neighbor
Right.
forgot to pick her up.
Oh,
If you can imagine that.
that's so somebody says here that they were
I
just
don't know if
playing
you're
that.
hearing me. Everything's very quiet. I seem to be sending.
So somebody in the chat was just
I'm not
saying
hearing
that.
you. That's it.
Oh, you're not hearing me.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm learning about my volume control on that mixer. It cuts off very sharply. Now I can hear you again. Sorry
Okay,
about
so
that.
somebody in the chat was saying that while you were playing your mom, they were playing that to a telemarketer over the phone at the same time.
Well, I hope that taught that telemarketer a lesson. Now, here's what I always say when people, especially people who have smartphones, let it ring and let them leave a message, and then save the message and post it on social media. That's what I do.
Right.
And I'm getting fewer and fewer of those calls all the time. They maybe know that I do that. I don't know.
I love having fun with those telemarketers and the spam calls.
So you actually talk to them live.
Yes, sometimes, yeah, when I have time to.
Have they ever threatened you?
Well, sometimes as soon as I mention Satan or something that they can't wrap their head around, they get angry and hang up.
So they just give up at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find one more thing on my blog that might be fun. So bear with me. I can still hear you. And if there's
Okay,
questions-
great. Yeah, so everybody, I just wanted to thank you again. We've been doing this for an hour and 45 minutes now, and it's been completely entertaining for me. I hope it's been entertaining for you guys. It's so nice of David to make time in his day to do this with us and setting up all that gear. And oh, what is that?
What do you think it might be?
That's your stomach. That's toads in your stomach. What is that from? Oh, heck. Are those birds? Oh, wait, your mic's off, David.
Yep, you were right.
Yep.
Try a few more. Anybody in the chat room know what that might be?
What is that? Somebody says a baby crying.
Nope.
What is that? What is that? It's a horn underwater? Somebody said horn underwater.
All right, if you can let
Duck
me
calls.
go to the back room and I'll come right back. I've got it. I'll show it to you.
Okay, great. And I'll make noise while you're gone.
Yeah,
Just keep
I'll
that
just
playing.
let
Keep
this
that
roll.
playing. Keep that playing.
Yeah, and you keep doing that.
All right. What is it? Oh, yeah. Okay. So it was an underwater horn. Somebody got it right. Beautiful. Where did you get those?
Well, this is the one that I use.
And it
I've
was
had
underwater?
it since the early 1960s.
Really? That's been around since the 60s.
It was on my bicycle when I lived in Berkeley when I was a little kid.
Wow.
The only thing that I'm noticing, this bulb, which I refer to as the bulbous part, and don't bend it over. It's kind of deteriorating. It's kind of sticky, like the plastic is starting to go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But it still works.
I can't believe that works.
That's what it sounds like. I don't have my tub of water, but I could easily another time set that up and we could do it live. I think it'll still work. And then Richard bought this bigger one.
Yeah, somebody actually guessed correctly that was a horn underwater.
Yes, they probably watched the video or have seen something, as I've got several different versions of that.
Okay, great.
I have a real funny one with my mother commenting on it, and she gets all flustered. If you could give me a moment, maybe I can find it.
Do your neighbors ever complain about your noise?
It's never that loud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just like archiving the stuff. I don't actually. Today is probably the loudest I've been in over a year.
All right, I'm glad to bring it out. I'm glad to bring it out. You're making David loud again.
Let me see if there's any other thing I can get to quickly. So Mark can't do that, I guess. He's unable to make that work.
Well, he said his argument was that he just wanted to give you the spotlight this time, and then maybe some other time he'll come on and we'll do a threesome.
Yeah. So I'm learning now. Hopefully, in the next week, I will have that iRig device, which will, and I can maybe tilt down. You can see all those wires. There'll be a lot less of those wires if I get that iRig, and it should do the same thing and sound even better.
Right. That's great. Well, nothing wrong with a bunch of wires, though.
All right. Let me just see if I can find anything else here real quick. But I believe there's something that's working against me, because only the most boring posts are coming up on my page. Ones that I don't that's just the goofy ones, the ones that aren't funny. I know where they are, but it won't let me get to them.
We got a nice, great shot of your beard right now. Beard detail.
Yeah.
There we go.
I like it.
It's great. It's like Woodstock.
Oh, well, let's see here. Boy, there's so much stuff that I do, and so many things that could be interesting.
I'm enjoying this. And thank you again to everybody in the chat.
The most boring ones.
So we should definitely do this again, David. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you have.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's amazing that we're able to do this, and the technology allows us to do this so easily these days. Could you imagine us trying to do this in 1993? No.
My excellent dapper and my prune are one and the same, and you get my dander. Way up. How do you like your darts?
And that's all it is. I decided to make that in a response to like emergency broadcast system announcements.
Oh, right. Play
Now,
it
if you-
again.
Okay, yeah, it's just that, just real short. Let's see if it'll go.
My Stella Dapper and my prune are one and the same, and you get my dander. Way, way up. How do you like your darts?
Now, if you listen on headphones, if you go to the blog and actually play it there, I deliberately put in some background noise and 50 hertz hum, because sometimes these radios that switch in, they come in over a broadcast, they're in kind of poor quality.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to call it's good enough for government work. So they just don't
Nice.
care. It'll have
That's
hum and
nice.
noise in it and poor fidelity.
It
So
sounds more
that's what
official.
that's. Yeah, absolutely. If it sounds a little off.
Yeah, sounds more official if it's got
Yeah, I've
noise.
always liked stuff like that. I
That's
can
great.
remember. I can even remember watching The Outer Limits, the original series, when it was on the network in the early '60s. And I
Wow.
remember one time when I was trying to watch it, my father didn't want me to watch it, so he kept like putting the newspaper in front of me so I couldn't see the TV screen.
What?
But I don't know. I remember that. Just that's silly to remember things like that.
I wonder why I didn't
That's
want
what
you to watch it.
happened. Well, it was. It could have been my favorite episode, The Guests, where that thing that looks like a brain turns into the what looks like the Psycho House. If you can imagine a black and white image of the Psycho House morphing into what looks like a human brain.
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
scenes in that episode does that. And I've never forgotten that.
Now, what was there ever a show that you had to watch kind of secretly from your family and not let them know that you're watching it?
It never got that bad. They didn't want me watching The Outer Limits, but that was about the extent of it.
I see.
They may have objected to me when we first got a stereo system in Martinez, and the only station we could get was KPFA, and there may have been something kind of risque or sexual happening on the
I
radio,
got you.
and
Right.
they were a little more open then, and I think they kind of maybe objected to that, but I was never actually stopped from listening or watching anything.
Oh, that's great. And look, Jennifer Bennett just stopped in.
Oh, great. Hello, Jennifer. I have to thank you for helping with my blog again and again. Without your help, this stuff could have never happened.
She's a good
So,
she's a
yeah,
good force in the
absolutely.
Negativland club there. She's doing a good job. She does a lot for Negativland, right?
Yes, more than she has to, actually. And I don't like to bother her when I've got little questions. The WordPress wants to be updated. I don't know how to do it, but it's
Right.
easy, I guess. Maybe she heard that.
That's great.
It's not going to stop it from working, even if she doesn't. It still works fine. No problem.
That's cool. That's cool. What was I going to ask you? Now it slipped my mind.
I'm
Damn.
glad I feel
can't
more
remember.
relaxed now. We're not on. I know we're probably going to have to wrap it up pretty soon, but
Yeah, we
I
probably
guess-
should. We've been going for about 2 hours now.
right now, on those early Over the Edge shows, I could be all confused. But Don was so good, he'd fill in, and then I'd finally get my act together and play something, and it often worked out pretty well.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know whether this was going to turn into just me asking you questions or if it was going to turn into just pure noise, but it's been a good balance of both, I think.
So you're okay with all these issues with me going off camera and trying to make things work? That doesn't bother you? You're all right with that?
This is what they call in the YouTube community IRL, I believe, in real life streaming. So everything's happening in real life, and there's no editing, and there's no practice, and
Yeah, and the internet and the websites are slow, and it takes time. It takes its time to get going.
Well, let me ask you, so my sound and my video, has it been good for you the whole time?
Yes, it has, and since we both were able to turn processing off, it's probably made the fidelity all for the best.
Okay, I'll try to remember that next time, too.
And I guess theoretically, when we operate this way, we should both be on headphones. I can't tell if you got little earbuds in or not.
No, I don't wear headphones or earbuds. I can't stand it.
Yeah. When I'm speaking, I'm hearing a slight echo on my voice, and it's because I don't have headphones, and I'm wondering if you're hearing that slight echo.
I'm not hearing the echo, but I've got my volume turned way, way down so that
Let me
it
turn
doesn't
mine
feedback.
up to where. Yeah, now I've turned mine up to where I hear the echo.
I like echo, but I can't hear it.
That's good. I would prefer that you don't hear it unless it's an effect on purpose.
Hey, wait, listen.
This is working really well.
Listen, there's some cats howling outside.
Turn it up if you can.
Wait. Oh, they're fighting.
No,
Cats
I
are
can't
fighting.
hear
You can't hear it, but I could hear it outside my window.
Well, if this is going on YouTube, I can listen to it later and turn up the volume and see if it's there. It might
now
be.
let me tell you what'll happen. After this stream ends, I'll end it and then it'll start processing, but it'll take till tomorrow around lunchtime for it to actually come up.
Yeah, I won't touch anything. And what we did the other day, I won't do anything with that either unless I ask you first. And if you don't
that's a
want
private
me to
video,
do anything, I will not touch it. I promise.
Well, but you were able to watch it, right? When I sent you the link?
I actually didn't watch it. I just didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to upset anything or even the chance of upsetting anything.
You can't upset it because if I send you the link, you can watch it. It's a private video.
Well,
Nobody
maybe
else
I'll
can
watch
see
it tonight, but I won't try to do anything with it. I'll just watch
You can't.
it and I'll
You
let
can't
you
do
know.
anything.
I'll let you know how it works and how it sounds.
Sure.
And of course, I guess this one's going to sound a little better because we turned the processing off.
Yeah, I didn't know. Thanks for that tip earlier. I just didn't even think about that, but it was easy to do.
Yeah, and I don't know. I can't really tell. The only thing that makes me think it's more open is that this echo is happening. If the noise reduction and noise cancellation is on, it'll tend to cancel that out. But what that does, it reduces the high frequency response and tends to sound a little muffly or more like a cell phone call.
Right. I don't mind the echo if I could hear it, but I couldn't really hear it.
Well, that's good that you can't hear it. That's even better.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, people are posting in the chat how much they enjoyed this tonight. That's great.
So this is at least one of your. This is a good show. This is not
great.
A bad show.
No, this is great. This is the only the third time I've had a special guest. So thank you for doing this, and we should do this again for sure.
Yes.
And maybe next time I'll have other noisemakers or maybe a cassette player or something. But I've just loved watching what you do and you finagling all your analog devices there and.
Let you and everyone else know when I get the iRig going and see if it works better. Because then maybe. Now, Mark did tell me that he wanted to maybe somehow work it so that we're doing a performance, me, John, and Mark, online. So I don't know if we could do that through you on YouTube. Maybe we could. I don't know.
Well, if Negativland has their own YouTube page, you could probably do it there.
Yeah, we probably could.
Yeah. But I wouldn't mind being a part of it or at least being in the chat and watching. That'd be great.
Right now, the sun has come out bright, and you can probably see behind me that's pretty bright. I'm trying to put my head right in that. And that's even with the Venetian blinds pulled down. It still gets through.
I know. Well, let me say this. Is there anything you want to say to everybody in the chat before we go?
Well, yeah, I guess it always turns out a little better than I think it's going to turn out. And I sure thank everyone for watching and listening. That was fun.
So you had a good time. Good.
And I guess maybe you might know that I thought you were kind of mad at me or something.
Who, me?
At one point. Yeah, I thought maybe you didn't want anything to do with me because I'm not professional enough.
What?
I don't know. I just get these funny ideas.
That is the furthest thing from the truth.
Well, certain men.
I'm not very professional, believe me.
Well, I thought I watched one of your streams one time, and don't take this as an insult, but it looked like you had bodyguards pacing behind you. I don't know who those two other people were, but it looked like they were your handlers.
When was this? This must have been a long time ago when I was allowed to socialize.
A couple months ago when it was one of these streams.
And somebody was in the room with me?
Yeah, another guy. and
It must
watch
have been a
it.
long, long time ago.
No, it was just recently. But I get these funny ideas, like maybe they're watching, well, he better do the right thing or he's not going to get monetized.
Oh, wait a second.
Watch
Maybe
him close.
maybe this is the guy. Hold on. This is the guy.
Oh, I don't know.
This is the guy right here.
No, it was an actual human being.
This is the guy.
I think you may have had that out too. I can't remember.
It's the
But
crochet clown.
It just gets. In fact, I should, if you've got time, there was one other thing I wanted to play that really expresses how I feel.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. Let me say bye to everybody in the chat real quick, and we'll say thank you, and then we'll end with your little piece.
The thing is, I have to go to the iPad and find it. So you say your final, and I'll come back and tell you when I'm ready.
Okay, everybody. I just want to thank all of you for being here. This is the best stream I've had so far as the number of people watching at one time. And the number of people watching for the whole 2 hours. We've had a pretty good amount of people, 50 to 60 people, I think, watching, which is great. We'll do this again for sure with David. I'm going to try to do it with Mark Hostler. Of course, there'll be other special guests from other bands that we'll have on. And next week will probably be just a regular old Hangout Thursday live stream for me. Maybe I'll have some mail to open or some good news for you. But yeah, this has been really fantastic. My friend David and I haven't really talked like this in years, and I haven't seen him face to face in even more time. And this has been really heartwarming and a beautiful experience for me. And noisy. I love the noise.
Well, I couldn't find the one I wanted, but this one I've got, I guess I'll have to do. So
okay, so after David does his piece here, we'll say one more quick goodbye, and then we'll cut it off. But thank you, everybody, for the tips. Thank you for your comments and your questions, and may the rock and roll gods bless you all. Okay, David, let's rip into this.
I am going to make sure this gets into your report.
What report?
Everyone has a report, and you are no exception.
How dare you?
I'm going to make sure this gets into your report.
What report?
Everyone has a report, and you are no exception.
How dare you?
I'm going to make sure this gets into your report.
What report?
Everyone has a report, and you are no exception.
How dare you?
I'm going to make sure this gets into your report.
What report?
Everyone has a report, and you are no exception.
How dare you?
Is that it?
Yep, that's all I can do.
Wait, look.
Oh, she's going to hiss. Careful.
She's not going to hiss. That's Miss Meowser. All right, David, we love you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. That was fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again, my friend.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Everyone have a good night.
See ya.
Wash your hands.
Will you do? All right, brother. Later.
All right. Bye.
Okay, everybody, we're out of here. Thank you so much for showing up again. And thank you. We'll hopefully you guys will be investigating some Negativland records, CDs, and websites if you haven't yet. So take care, everybody. Happy Thursday.